Welcome, Lords and Heroes.
Hello from a table at the Double Turn Inn. This is Lords and Heroes, a show about a gamer's journey into the mortal realms and the detours that happen along the way. This episode is Past and Future 2020. My name's Adan, and I'm a gamer from Northern California who's transitioning through the Valley of the Sun, and then next week will be Southern California.
Because I'm Justin, the Kiefer of Secrets, and I need to put my credit card down or cut it in half, as we'll get into. Spoilers.
So this episode, we're going to go back into the past of 2020 and kind of look a little bit into the future of 2021. And this is an annual thing we've been doing where we kind of go through all the things that were released in 2020. And we'll kind of interject some of the things we were doing at those times. It'll be a little bit different than our normal episodes, but not a lot. iTunes, we love reviews on iTunes, and also reviews on Facebook. They both help with getting the show out to other people. We have a Facebook community, which is fantastic, actually. Very supportive community, great hobby stuff going on there. I always like to comment the fact that the number of Facebook members in the community is pretty close to the number of listeners we have each episode. So we have a pretty high kind of engagement rate with our community, which I love. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah.
And right now on the Facebook community page, we have a hobby bingo section. What it is Games Workshop in the White Dwarf put out a little like a bingo card, and you get points for being in the different squares, and you get things for like finishing a squad or finishing a character or just random stuff, building a terrain
Just to be clear, we're not old enough or grognardy enough that now we're playing bingo with our hobby.
It's just a different variation on the hobby challenge, right? Because we've done hobby challenges and independent characters before. I did hobby challenges with a 40K Fight Club.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. It's super, super fun. Good way to like stay on track, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a motivator, right? Say, I want to finish that line. I need to do a hero model, right? So, stuff like it's just for fun. And you can either post your stuff in the album I created with the bingo card, or you can create your own. A lot of people are creating their own New Year, New Army 2021, NYNA 2021 hashtag album for their stuff, which is totally fine too. And you can track it that way.
Yeah.
So, and I'm hoping that we might be able to even line up some prizes for it along the way. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so if you head over to our Facebook community page, you can kind of jump in on that. Teespring.com is where you get all your Lords and Heroes swag.
Yep. I keep forgetting to order that stuff.
Yes.
I need to.
Ordering stuff from Teespring actually helps support the show. The show isn't actually free to produce. There are a lot of different free software things out there, but to actually use them to produce a show is not free. So
right. Every little bit helps. Yeah.
Every little bit helps. We appreciate that. I find that if I look at the sales, I have bought more Lords and Heroes stuff I think than anybody else has bought. Okay.
You're leading by example. That's all. You're leading by example.
There you go. That's what it is. Yeah, I like this one. And then Justin, you have something that you want to talk about too.
Yeah, kind of monumental.
Oh, good. That was well done. Very professional.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys have heard us all kind of rant and rave, probably mostly myself, about the Pro Acryl stuff, basically everything from Monument Hobbies. And we are very pleased to announce that we are affiliated with Monument Hobbies. So we worked with Jason Craze to set this up, and they have absolutely amazing paints and hobby supplies, paint racks, you name it, just everything.
Brushes.
The brushes, I've been using those along with my Artist Opus almost primarily the last 6 months or so.
And the best brush soap you're ever going to find.
Yeah, Jen's Brushtastic Unicorn Goop.
Yes,
or whatever
it's made from unicorn.
Everything.
Whatever.
Yeah, distilled unicorn tears, and I think they cut out some of the hoof for it, but
something like that.
But it's great
stuff.
It
goes back though. It's sustainable.
It does. Magic. But very pleased to announce that. And what this means is that, if you go to their website, you can use an affiliate link to get a little discount. And then it gives us it basically gives us a little bit of a kickback as well. And so it's a win-win-win for everybody. You get some phenomenal stuff. And if you guys haven't tried the Pro Acryl line of paints, they are fantastic through a paintbrush, through an airbrush. They taste good. They're amazing. I've been using the heck out of them. So
that's fantastic. So if you go to Monument Hobbies, all one word, monumenthobbies.com/REF, that's the referral, /REF/Lords. That is the link. And I'm not going to test that right in a second, but I will put it's already on our Facebook community page, and I'll also be posting it on lordsandheroes.com. So, and it'll be in the podcast notes as well. So
we'll get all the links. Yeah,
we'll get all the links.
All that stuff.
So anyway, very cool stuff. Really appreciate Justin working with Jason on that.
Yeah. And we don't promote things that we don't use heavily on this show.
Yeah, we do,
you know.
Right. And we don't do sponsorship. This is kind of an affiliation thing more than and actually the program they have is called Monumentals.
Right.
That was good. Yes. But now, Justin, what's on the table?
Got myself a Lagunitas, little something, 7.5. I got to work tomorrow, so no whiskey.
A little something.
Just
yes.
A little something.
Lagunitas. Lagunitas is good stuff. That's a Bay Area brewery.
Petaluma.
Yep. It's on
nice
the
solid
North Bay there.
7.5. So it's good stuff.
I still have some of this, which is good. This is the Anchor Steam Brewery, which is also San Francisco. Anchor Steam Brewery, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year Ale for 2020. It actually protects from COVID-19. So that's cool. The 2020 special blend, right? So, yeah. No, I'm not a doctor, and I don't even have one on TV.
But Adan told me I'd be safe.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, talk to my lawyer. But yeah, so I have the Anchor Steam.
Good stuff. Drinking the good beer.
Yes, what we're going to be talking about, the way we have this set up, for those of you who have not heard our previous year's past and future episodes, and if you haven't, where have you been? The way this works is that we go through kind of month by month the different things that Games Workshop put on the table. And then we will kind of go from there. January, Games Workshop started off with a pretty cool kind of hobby resolutions checklist. It was, not everybody saw it. It was a neat little tool, and it's at the Facebook group. You can just kind of cross out 20 and put in 2021. I actually like the bingo card better. So I think the bingo card is a little bit more motivating. And they were just kind of going on the New Year's resolution kind of thing, but it was kind of cool that they did that. Every year doing a little motivation thing. The Mortal Realms magazine was a release for the first time in the UK. The Mortal Realms was a magazine that they kind of put together as a companion to the 40K one that they had done the year before. It's a way to get new people into the hobby with regular issues that kind of walk them through joining all the different aspects of the hobby. So if you have never done this before, you could subscribe to this magazine, and it every month kind of walks you through a different thing. And then every month, it also comes with a free model. And I don't know if you remember when the 40K one came out, there's a lot of people like, oh my gosh, they're not releasing this in the United States. My gosh, they hate us. But the reality is that it's a single model. It's not an exclusive model. It's one of their push fit models. So what are you really losing out on?
I feel, weren't they doing some of those like the Heroes of the Imperium, or like didn't they release like the Plague Marine models in Europe?
None of them were exclusive. None of them were exclusive models. They were models you could
I might
get
be tripping.
somewhere else.
I thought some of them were, but great idea though, right? I mean, anything that makes it very simple for people to kind of get that start, get that first model, get your first little foot in the swimming pool. All for it. Love it.
Right. Exactly right. They announced a new Underworld organized play pack for running events. I used them. They were nice. They were just kind of update from the Night Haunt one to the Dire Chasm. I'm sorry, the Beast Grave one. Didn't last real long for being able to run events.
Yeah, right.
Right, because 2020, but they tried.
Yep.
Also in January, Caleb Wesenbach was featured in their first ever airbrushing guide. And Caleb said he had a really good time. He went to Nottingham and taught a class for the staff there. And
See, I don't remember seeing the actual airbrush guide. I just remember him doing the little commercial, like the little videos, the very short videos.
Right, but they also had a Warhammer community article with his smiling face and professionally shot picture and all this kind of stuff.
Professionally buffed head, you know.
Hey!
Bald brother, hey, bald brothers unite, man. Don't fight it, shave it.
Yeah.
No, that was super cool to see, and you know, I'm so excited to see what Games Workshop eventually does with the airbrush journey. You know, I mean, it's gonna be cool to see.
The cool thing about that was he went and did this airbrushing class. They have a picture, actually. Duncan Rhodes was in the front row. Everybody had their own little stations for airbrushing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the staff had either A, never really used an airbrush very much, or B, didn't really know what their own product actually did through the airbrush.
I recall him saying how amazed they were when he just shook those air paints up, popped them right in the brush, and bada bing, bada boom. And they're like, well, you don't have to. It's like, no, it's an air paint. It's made to shoot through an airbrush.
And they do very well. They're very good. LVO was in January, and it was the last of the great in-person previews for 2020, maybe ever. Let's see. Anyway, Lumineth and the new Seraphon were revealed at that LVO 2020 preview. It kind of takes you back to the early days of 2020. Lumineth was the first time they were actually revealed. The new pointy elves. The Warhammer 2019 Warhammer Heroes were announced, which include a bunch of people, including, I think, some guy named Carl.
Some dude, yeah. Some dude. Tuttle, something?
Something like that, I don't know.
Tutler?
Yeah. The Black Library.
And Ben Curry. Is he still active in the AOS community? Because I used to always listen to his old, I don't know, I just saw that name and it brought back memory.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I know that Hank from Adepticon and Mike from Nova Open were honored in that, but no, I don't know about that. I don't.
What was the name?
I don't listen to a lot of other podcasts on gaming, I have to admit.
Yeah, I remember listening to his podcast in the old square basing days.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Oh, you don't listen to any yeah.
No, I listen to the independent characters, and I listen to Lords and Heroes.
Even when you're on?
And Life After the Cover Save.
Okay.
From time to time. And that's pretty much all my podcasts. I listen to a lot of Audible, but yeah.
Right on.
Black Library put out the Warhammer Horror series, which had been going on for about a year at that point. And a lot of the stories are actually set in the mortal realms. And if horror is your thing, it's not really my thing, but if you're into horror, I had listened to a couple of the early ones, and they're pretty good at the horror thing, I have to say.
Are some of these, they're on Audible?
Yeah, some of them are. Yes.
Okay. I'll have to give them a whirl because I do like the horror.
There you go.
Clearly,
Prophet's Ruin by C.L. Warner was released. Heroes of the Empire, which is an anthology of old world stories. And they put out a Humble bundle in January. So Humble Bundle, for those of you who don't know, is a kind of a consolidation site. So what they do is they'll say, hey, if you pay $1, you can get these 5 digital titles.
Yeah, like a stupid, crazy deal.
Yeah, they're really, really good deals. And they're a short period of time. So if you have not subscribed to Humble Bundle's email subscription, you should, because they come up with, they have RPGs, they have novels, they have fantasy stuff, science fiction stuff, and Games Workshop has been working with them, and they have done both 40K and Age of Sigmar stuff. And January was an Age of Sigmar bundle that they did. February was Soul Wars, which was the Wrath of the Ever-Chosen campaign book being released, and added rules for chaos units and allowed for a Mark of Chaos Ascendant, which was basically a non-denominational chaos mark, which was kind of a cool new thing that they had done at that time.
That's one of those books I'm really, I should have picked up, because I still have my slaves, like a lot of slaves.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like, I might as well wait for AOS 3.0, you know?
Yeah, so what they did with AOS in the last version, and they've done with 40K in the last couple of versions as well, is they release a series of books that forward a narrative storyline. And in each of the books, they release some rules for the different armies.
Yep.
And it's a way to keep the armies refreshed through the edition.
Oh,
It might mean that you have to carry an extra book, but you don't have to buy all the books unless you play lots of different armies.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also kind of cool because it does actually kind of forward a narrative of the game. And so if you're into the story of the game, you know, it's good. It's like buying little novellas about the game,
right?
About the world that we're playing in.
Yep.
Also in February, they released the Hawthorne's Man-Trap. Hawthorne's? I don't know how you pronounce it. Hawthorne's Man-Trappers and the Wormspat for Warhammer Underworlds.
Sexy models. I mean, those Underworld models, collect them all, folks, because they are, they're good.
And I really like the fact that they're releasing the models as groups of models without cards after that cycle of models has finished in the game, so that you always have access to the models, right? Like right now, you can buy the original.
Are they doing that with? With Underworlds, right.
Yeah. So you can buy the original Stormcast, for example, that were in the original Shadespire starter box.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy those as separate models, just those 3 models as a set. And all of those war bands have war scrolls in AOS. So you can add them.
Have they released those? I thought, because I know they did the Warcry war bands, but they've actually released Underworld models without all the stuff that you're just going to throw away if you're me.
Right, but they don't do it until after that cycle is over, right? So for the first 2 sets, Shadespire and Night Vault, those 2 were active at that time, so you could not buy the models separately. When Beastgrave came out, or Night Vault and Beastgrave were the only 2 active sets. So Shadespire was no longer an active set.
I'm with you.
So then you could buy those models by themselves.
They still come with the cards and the little packs.
No, they don't. No cards, just the models.
Really?
Yeah. And now that Dire Chasm has come out, that means that Night Vault is no longer active. So I haven't seen those come up yet, but if they follow the same trend, anyway, they're really good. And so they're really good models.
And you know, even if you have to buy the little pack of cards and all that, who cares? Like the models are so good, and And Sky, who is the owner of Herrick Games and Hobbies, and if you're not buying from Herrick Games and Hobbies, you're doing it wrong, unless you have a local store that you absolutely need to support, and you should support local stores as well. But Sky was just reminding me that not is it just the models, but they're also cheaper than the models would have been in that pack. But even still, in Underworld's Warband, it's like $35. Sure. Yeah.
And you get 3 to 5 models and all the cards. So
I just feel like I've been living under a log, though. I feel like I haven't seen those things sold without all the cards here. Was it better? Like right there.
Oh, there he is. For those of you who are on the feed, Justin just put his Herrick Games and Hobbies sticker on his shirt.
I mean, what other company do you get a discounted models, right? Your package arrives with a lollipop. So whenever I buy Warhammer and my wife gets pissed at me, I say, "But wait, babe, Jackson gets a lollipop, all right?" And a handwritten note. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and a sticker. And I can confirm that the sticker will not come off your motorcycle at 125 miles an hour. I have photographic evidence.
Road tested.
Yes, absolutely. Back to February. The Warcry event pack was announced. Again, it was a way to do organized play in Warcry. We started to do it at Baxter's here in the Valley, and then everything
went skirt.
Everything went, The Champions of the Mortal Realms characters were released. So that was the Warlock Bombardier, the Abhorrent Archregent, the Tyrant, the Archrevenant, the Loon Boss on the Giant Cave Squig, and the Bachmortian Master of the Bone Tithe. So that was released as those characters were released as being able to buy separately from the old champ.
Separately, which is good because I mean, and I think like to this date, there's probably still some lurking models that haven't been sold separately from those, maybe a few.
Right.
But
no, they were all released as separate models in February. Is what I'm saying. So,
But Games Workshop is so evil in that sense, you know, because one of those sets will come out and you look at it and you're justifying, okay, I could use like 20 more witch elves, you know, just to get that one or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to like slap yourself like, no, wait.
Just wait. Right. It's like when Jane Czar came out, right, in that set.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, I really want her now. It's like, well, you could buy her now, but you know for a fact they're going to release her in like 3 months by yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just wait. Yeah. Warcry card packs came out for Seraphon, Sylvaneth, the Sacrosanct Stormcast Eternals, the Nurgle Rotbringers, the Nurgle Demons, the Heat Knights of Slaanesh, the Khorne Bloodbound, and Khorne Demons.
Yep.
So this is freaking brilliant.
Yeah, all the different ways to play with your toys, which I'm excited about, especially as a Hedonites player, as we'll get more into.
Yes. What's really cool is that, all right, so you missed the card packs. They did a limited run. You didn't get it. Just hold on. When they do the Warcry annual, what do? They reprint them all in the annual.
Yeah.
All the stats are in there. And so, yes, it's very nice to have the cards. I absolutely love it. I have the cards for both the Seraphon and the Sylvaneth and the Stormcast, and I use them. And Warcry is a fantastic game. And if you don't know about Warcry, you should listen to our episode about it. Rob and I go through the ins and outs of Warcry.
I can't wait to try that game out, man. I just cannot wait.
Yeah. After lockdown, man, we'll have to get you going.
No, Dan and I were supposed to get together and do that, but 2020.
Yeah. The Formerid Crusher and the Mindstealer Sphinx were released with rules for both Warcry and AOS. Really good models. I actually bought the Formerid Crusher and built it and primed it and started to paint it. And yeah, it's a really cool model.
Oh, they're phenomenal. Yeah, I think that's the one with the he's the one with the swingy hammer masonry. Yeah, I got him built in Zenithal, ready to go.
You can build in 2 different ways. Yeah, the Mindstealer Sphinx, it's a really well done model. Doesn't ring my bells with a really long head and everything.
Yeah, I mean it's just very Zinchian, very very different, right?
Yeah.
But man, talk about just an amazing painting project of a miniature.
Yes, absolutely.
One of our buddies, Bill, was painting that. He was using all like the neon paints and fluorescence and
is that right?
Just making it look crazy good. Yeah, just a really fun painting project miniature. I've seen some people do some really insane stuff with that sculpt. So
yeah, no, it's a good sculpt. It's absolutely, and you're like you're saying, because it's a little bit larger model, larger scale.
Yeah, a little bigger canvas. Yeah,
you can do a lot more with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Black Library released Oaths and Conquest compilation and the Celebration Anthology, which is always good, and they're free. So every time Black Library Celebration happens, your local stores, the Warhammer stores, will have the free anthology. And I believe on their website, the Black Library website, if you buy a book during the time of the celebration, they'll send you the anthology for free as well. They'll include it. So those are always really good. I always like picking those up. Nice short stories in there from both 40K and from the Mortal Realms. And they are now including like things that are specific to either Underworlds or Warcry as well. There's Warcry lore out there as well.
Just be careful.
That's a lot of stuff. And dude, we're only in February.
It's true. But be careful. You read those little Black Library snippets and then you get an idea for an army and you got to cut your credit card up.
Yep, exactly.
Ain't nothing free in this hobby.
No. March. So, Justin, do you remember what happened on March 11th of 2020?
I don't remember what I had for breakfast. What happened?
March 11th, or the 12th rather. March 12th is when the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it was. March
I knew I
12th.
forgot that date.
But also what happened in March, the Seraphon Battle Tome was released. I was a happy boy because Seraphon was my New Year, New Army 2020. So it was really cool to get the new Battle Tome.
Yeah.
They included a thing called the Realm Shaper Engine and a Start Collecting Skinks box. They had a Start Collecting Seraphon box, which had a dude riding a big lizard and a bunch of Saurus. But the Start Collecting Skinks box is kind of just what it sounds like. You have a different character and a bunch of skinks and some of the rippers / pterodactyls. And so it's a really good box. The the other one, the standard Seraphon Start Collecting box, is still one of the best values in the GW Start Collecting boxes.
Nice.
It's really easy with 2 boxes to end up with a 1,500 point army like right off the gate.
It's always nice. Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah. So it's a really good value. But I was pretty happy. The Realm Shaper engine, there was a lot of fits and starts that people had about how to use it, how to deploy it, how well does it work, how well does it not work. My buddy Rob got to see it in its evil action, where Seraphon player tailed his demons, I think, like in turn 2 or 3.
Oof.
It's pretty nasty.
I've heard from various like YouTube channels and podcasts and whatnot that the Seraphon are pretty
they're
pretty
nasty.
pretty A-list.
Yes. The kit itself, the Realm Shaper engine kit, is kind of cool because you can, the way you construct it, you can turn around the different panels, and it can either be like clean or it can have like all these overgrown vines. And so it's kind of cool the way that they made it like a two-way kit. The one thing I haven't done is I wanted to break it out and see if I can construct it where it's like half one way and half the other.
Sure.
That would be kind of cool too. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't put mine together yet because I haven't really put together a list yet that uses it well, because my lists have been mostly heavy Saurus and monster lists.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best things about playing Seraphon, right? Is big stompy dinosaurs with the Jurassic Park theme song going on in the background, right?
Yes. In fact, Rob and I got to play a full monster match list. The only thing that was not a monster was the skink priest with the star cloak. That was it. Everything else was a monster.
All the stomp
or Stegodon. Yeah.
All the stomp.
It was great. I mean, I deployed it badly and got my butt kicked, but it was a problematic list.
I've never played against that new book, but maybe next year.
Well, I haven't played against a lot of books yet because of
that's true.
The fact that on March 12th,
I mean, hell, yeah, right. I bought the that first Hedonites book. Didn't even get to use it.
Oh wow!
It's like cool. Doing my part.
The Daughters of Cain Start Collecting kit that includes the hard to get Hag Queen model was released. That's kind of cool. The Hag Queen, up to that point, I think the only way you could get it was in the kit with the Cauldron of Blood. So she's holding up a cup, a blood cup, for the Witch's Brew, which was the broken way to play your Murder Elf, which of course all of us did.
Have you picked up the new Battle Tome yet?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. They nerfed the Witch's Brew. The Murder Elves aren't quite as murdery, but I actually like that because it'll make it so that not all the lists look the same.
Sure.
It's always nice to see them kind of tilt the meta a little. Yeah, I think
always
it's good. The Gloomspite Gits Start Collecting set was released in March of last year. Adepticon was formally announced as canceled.
That was a sad day.
But it was done the day after it was announced as a global pandemic, and so it made a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
But the upshot for GW, and as it relates specifically to this, is that it was one of their biggest previews of the year. They would do it at Adepticon.
Right.
And now that's not going to happen. Wasn't going to happen.
Now we got to do it digitally.
Right. GW had to figure out a new way for doing previews. And so the online preview was born on their Twitch channel.
Yep.
What they did with this one is they split it into several different sessions, right? And it was interesting to see kind of how they evolved over time, because what they ended up doing is they when they were showing the preview, they would do each new reveal. It was like every 20 or 30 minutes. It was a really long time in between each thing on the feed. And then the rest of the time they were just kind of chatting in between, right? But they kind of evolved as they went over time. But that was the first time they did it, and they had to do it because Adepticon closed down.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Which
so
I think is cool, right? Like, because they didn't have to do that, right? They could have said, "Oh, it's canceled," and And I think if it was the old Games Workshop, they would have been, too bad, so sad. You know what I mean? But the new Games Workshop.
Yeah, I think what they would have done is they would have just released the Warhammer Community article.
Yeah, right.
That's it. But they actually went the extra mile. They went the extra production, and they did it on Twitch live with their staff. And I believe that was the first time we got to see the Indomitus video.
That sounds right. Yeah.
We got to see the cool Sisters of Battle video, or no, I'm sorry. That's when we saw for the first time all the stills of the different animations they were doing. Because the Indomitus came out later. But that's a 40.
Yeah. It's 40. Yeah. It's all blurring.
But my question in this is, are the in-person previews dead now? Right? In-person previews are actually a lot more expensive for them to do, right? Because they've got to send people out. They've got to send out product if they're going to give stuff away in the room like they did before. Remember the last time they did it, they gave away the Canoness model.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And when Sisters were being released. And so it's less expensive for them to do it digitally. They get a huge response. The first time they did it, they had so many people on the stream, it almost broke Twitch.
Yeah.
And what they had to do was the next time that they did the preview, the only people who could actually do comments were people who were subscribers. Because the first time they did it for just anybody could do comments, they had over 40,000 people trying to comment. And it was notable because it was 40,000, right?
What else were we doing but sitting at home and painting our models, right?
Right.
What else? Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty wild. Yeah, they had over 40,000 views on that feed, and I really think it may change the way they do previews going forward, but we'll see. I mean, they also do send people to the large events anyway because they're helping run some of the big tournaments. But
yeah, I think once the world is safe and the conventions are open, that Games Workshop will be back, much like all of us will all be back full force at the conventions doing our thing. And I don't think.
Well, I was just saying, do you think they're going to send out Adam Trope to go do previews at a live event when they can just do it?
I think so.
At their studio?
Yeah, no, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that Games Workshop's going to go, oh, we could save. I mean, look at their stocks. Look at how much they're killing it.
Yeah.
I think once the world is normal, everything will be normal, and Games Workshop will be back, and CK Studios will be back, and we'll all be back doing our normal stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be normal.
At least I hope.
Sort of, right? It's going to be normal, sort of, right? Because what's going to happen is that just like there's still measles, just like there's still the regular flu, there's still going to be COVID.
Yeah.
And you're going to go every year and get your flu shot and your COVID shot, right? I mean, it's still going to be something that's out there. But yes, you're right. It will be something that is just part of our normal everyday lives and that people have to deal with. And I think you're right. I think they will do a lot more travel. But I'll be interested to see if they do previews the same.
I mean, there's so many unknowns at this point,
right.
But I just doubt that Games Workshop will look at it and we could save a couple $1,000 or pounds to just do this digitally. Who knows? We'll see.
To not send Adam Trope to Chicago.
Heck, they were sending everybody.
Yeah. At the end of March, Games Workshop actually basically closed down because the UK went on a hard lockdown. And they couldn't sell anything in person. All their stores closed. They couldn't run their factory or their shipping department, and everything stopped. And so everything had to change. Also in March, Black Library released the Tyrion and Teclis tome. That was a re-release of an old title. Ghoul Slayer by Darius Hinks was released, and the Beastgrave tie-in novel by C.L. Warner was released. I got that one because I'm an Underworlds guy.
All those bittersweet Old Hammer releases, just pouring a little bit of alcohol in that wound,
The Beastgrave one was interesting. I actually I didn't see it coming until the very end. I was like, oh, I know where this is going. Usually with GW lore, I can see it coming a lot farther away. But this one kind of snuck up on me. It was pretty good. April. So early in April is when they started their kind of big lockdown pivot in earnest. They posted some ideas for how to do remote gaming without specifically talking about Tabletop Simulator and other, systems that kind of, I don't want to say, steal their stuff, but kind of use their stuff kind of officially / unofficially. But they also did, but they did post some ideas for remote gaming and other solo modes for their game systems, and we saw that in Warhammer community articles. We saw it in White Dwarf, where they actually started putting out ways that you could actually like play by yourself, right?
Sure.
At the end of April, they started taking European orders without Italy, because Italy was like being heavily hammered at that time.
Got hit hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But the U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, everybody else had to wait. There was no orders being taken from them even at the end of April. New Zealand actually cut themselves off from the rest of the world, if you remember. They basically no travel in or out. If somebody from New Zealand was out and they came in, they basically kept them in a locked room for 2 weeks.
Hit them with a blow dart and threw some plastic wrap on them. Yeah.
Right, but it worked. Right, New Zealand basically has no cases.
Yeah.
You can do that when you're an island, right? They're their own little island, and they were able to make that work. But that's for New Zealand. It really didn't make much of a difference because they weren't letting anything in anyway. But it was interesting because even on the Games Workshop website, they were limiting the amount of paints you could buy, the amount of glue you could buy. They were just trying to like not overtax their system because they didn't have much of a system at that point. Black Library announced the online Black Library Book Club as part of their Twitch lineup. Again, all this pivot to more digital stuff, right? Inferno Volume 5 was announced. It included an 8-point story. And this is what I'm talking about. You start seeing the Warcry lore kind of creep in. Just as a note, as I'm talking about Black Library stuff, I'm only talking about Mortal Realms Black Library stuff.
Yeah.
There's a ton of 40K content, obviously. Most of their content is 40K. I'm just talking about the Mortal Realms stuff.
Yeah, of course.
There are regular Black Library audio specials that you should watch for. In April, they had Kim Newman's classic Drachenfels as one of their audio specials. So again, pay attention. If you're into the lore, pay attention to the Black Library website and email subscription, because they will have, like every so often, they'll have a special. Hey, for the next 3 weeks, you can get this audio book, right? And so in April, they had Drachenfels released. So that's just a kind of a reminder if you're into the lore. Keep an eye out for the Black Library audio specials.
And on to May. May was a little bit bleak, huh?
Nothing happened. There were no releases. GW was getting really, really good at the online community engagement, though, right? Because that's when you started seeing their regular events, like their Hangout and Hobby Clinic, and the weekly roundup was all on their Twitch feed. Ended up being like it was basically like its own TV station.
Yep.
Right. And
they really embraced the digital media, which is good. And again, something they didn't have. They didn't have to do that.
Right.
But they did.
But the Hangout Hobby thing, right? I think it was kind of I could be wrong, right? But it's kind of like Darren and Adam and those guys are like, hey, let's get together on Zoom and paint with each other, right? I mean, today I was late to our little trial thing because I was painting with Chris and Mike and Steven and Ian, right? We were painting models. And I look at your message like, oh, I'm supposed to be over there with Justin. There's a lot of people. Right? You have regular painting meetups that you have. There's people either on Zoom or Google Hangouts or wherever they're doing it, where they're getting together with friends remotely and painting or hobbying or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that for me was like a huge sand, because I knew I was like, okay, I'm locked down. I know I'm going to be painting, right? But just to see like that different people's faces and just be able to joke and laugh, like it was such a huge part of getting through 2020, and really, we would help motivate each other. You'd sit down and be like, I'm just going to like paint, a few models. Maybe I'll finish a dude, and then it's like 4 hours have gone by.
Right. Right. Well, that's what happened to me today. I mean, I don't always jump on the call, but today I jump on the call at like 12:30, 1:45.
No, they're huge.
And at 4:15, you're like, dude, where are you? I'm ready when you are. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, time flies. I mean, the key is finding people that are like-minded and obviously that you get along with and that kind of thing. All normal friendship type things. Yeah.
And what was so cool was that the GW staff were doing the same thing the rest of us were doing. But the GW staff they broadcast it, right? That's what became their Hangout and Hobby. And I know that tons of people did hobbying while that was playing in the background.
Yeah, for sure. And I
Right?
love how they were doing like community, like little pics, like
Yep.
grabbing random pictures from the Warhammer community. And
Yes.
we always have a bunch of people on the IC's page and stuff that are like,
Yep.
boom, my guy here it is. Like, how
We
cool is
had
that?
someone this week on the Lords and Heroes page.
Oh, did we? I missed that one.
Yes. Yeah.
I missed that
So
one.
he said, I can die happy now.
It's rad.
Because they showed us stuff. So, yeah, it's very, very cool. Black Library announced that they were going to be back online for ordering books at the end of May. Right? I mean, this is how long it was shut down. And then they announced a new set of Warhammer Adventure, kind of the young adult books.
That was like the
which I think is
funniest
cool.
thing ever, man. Like how
Oh,
I'm
the
gonna
hate
say
behind
it.
that?
I'm gonna say it. How pathetic are you? And I'm gonna use that word pathetic. That angers you.
Oh no!
That is terrible. Like, I mean, come on, dude. Like, we're not gonna see this stuff in the Codex books and battle tomes of like.
Look, you're gonna piss off some of the 50 listeners we have.
Pathetic.
No,
come
yes,
on.
I mean, not everything is for everybody. And this was kind of my point about the magazine earlier, right? It's like, oh, I can't get the magazine. Well, guess what, dude? You've been in the hobby for 20 years. That magazine is not for you. It was not designed for you. Are not the audience for that magazine, right? So it's the same with this, the young adult novels. Oh, this would not happen. It's like, it's aimed towards 12-year-olds, dude. Chill.
Yeah. Moving along.
Anyway,
it's just painful.
Moving along to June. June was when the Lumineth box went up for pre-order.
Moo.
And it was a little bit later than they had intended. And
sure.
For those people who remember, a lot of people who pre-ordered even still ended up with not getting it quite as quickly as they thought they were going to, even with the pre-order live.
Yeah.
But they were trying to dial back up after being shut down. But my favorite in that box was the Lights of Eltharion from that wave of models that came out for that box set. It's the dude who's like, his body isn't there. He's just like the clothing.
It's funny you should mention that, because that's the only miniature that I own from that range.
Really? Oh, it's such a cool
because Eric bought two, who's tattooed your beautiful body. He bought two of those box sets, and I was like, dude, I'll buy one of the battle tomes off you. And I'm like, do you need two of those Eltharion models? So he was kind enough to hook a brother up, and that model is just so cool, man. That's just Games Workshop just flexing that plastic polystyrene bicep, man. Super cool.
So that's Eric Carpenter of New Vision Tattoo.
Boom. In
Georgia. So if you're in that area and you want a good tattoo, especially a gaming-oriented tattoo,
we're already talking about
from him.
And they're beautiful, and we're already talking about my lower back unicorn butterfly tattoo. It's gonna happen.
In June, the Black Library released The Court of the Blind King by David Geimer, and that's
Court of the Blind King.
Yes.
Is that Speaking of Eltharion?
Yes.
Is that it's got to be Eltharion, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Court of the Blind King. I'm pretty sure that is what that is.
Because Eltharion in the old world that was blind.
Right. And, exactly. It's old. I think it's an old world book. So. Yeah. So that's the first half of the year. It sounds like a lot of stuff. I saw that Sky was saying it's amazing how much stuff they released, even though they were shut down for basically two months. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about the second half of the year. And we're back for the next section of What's on the Table 2020, Past and Future 2020. We are starting up with July. And in July, dun, 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 General's Handbook. Started the second half of 2020.
Yes.
They had a really cool thing in there, which was rules for custom heroes. That's kind of cool.
I never played around with that, did you?
I messed around. I thought about it. I was gonna do it for my game with Rob with all the Stegodons, but
sure,
we didn't really talk about doing that, and so I didn't want to spring it on him.
Yeah.
He would have been fine with it, right? But I care because he sold enough without telling me. But
that was a fantastic book, though. That General's Handbook.
Yes, that was a really good book. It's a very good book. The General's Handbook 2020. They did the same thing they were doing with the 40K thing, where they broke out the rules. The points updates in a separate little handbook. So it was very, very cool. Also, the mid-year update was released, which addresses all the battle tomes that were released after the General's Handbook 2020 went to print. So what happens is they finalized the General's Handbook probably December, January, somewhere in there, and they send it off to the printers, get it all printed up, get it ready for shipping. Well, in that time, there are battle tomes released, like the Seraphon and the Lumineth and stuff like that.
Yeah, things that need updates.
Right, and so they have to tweak a little update. They do that through the community site. It's free, right? So you get that. That's kind of nice. Warhammer World finally announced that they were going to reopen in July. Forge World came back on in July as well. So for those of you who wanted to get that big, massive Chaos Dragon, you could get it again. And Black Library came back online. I don't have any releases for Black Library in July, but they were coming back online at that point as well. So basically, Games Workshop's trying to be back in business, quote unquote.
Yeah, right.
All the way in July.
I'm just so glad that
yes.
I'm so glad that I had an utter well of models to paint during that whole time.
It's interesting. We haven't recorded some episodes in a little while since we did the Batman episode. Rob and I did. But one of the things that
has it been that long? Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of the things that is interesting is that at first people said, "Oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to get through my entire backlog and all this kind of stuff," right? But the reality of it is that for a lot of different reasons, and some of it has to do with mental health, quite frankly. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't get through their models and didn't find the motivation to be able to do it, and weren't able to, deal with the changes in their life as well. And so a lot of people did not get through backlogs and did not paint. I didn't paint extra stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah, some people. I guess it's just it's human nature, right? Some people embraced it, and some people just said, I'll play some video games instead.
Right? Yeah, I think that people had to deal with the stress of it differently, right? Because we have to remember that some of the stress that people were dealing with this was they lost their job.
That's true. That's very true.
Right? And some people got sick, and some people had to deal with family members who were ill or out of work. And so there's a lot of other things that was going on. It wasn't just, all of a sudden I have this extra time.
Sure.
Right? And not everybody was not working. Some people, they were working more.
Yeah. If they're frontliners, if you were a nurse or a doctor, or you're not painting many toy soldiers.
Grocery worker, right? If you're a grocery worker or work in any of the food industry stuff, if you were an Uber or DoorDash driver, right? Uber Eats, DoorDash, but those people were working their butts off, right? Because a lot of people who were driving for some of these other services started doing delivery for grocery stores.
Sure.
So a lot of people's lives changed in a lot of different ways. But the old thing about, if I had time, I'd paint all my stuff. Well, some people had the time and they didn't.
Exactly. And that's obviously the people that we're talking about is the ones that,
Right.
They could, woulda, shoulda, coulda, but
it's just interesting. The pandemic really, people didn't, it hit people in unexpected ways is what I'll say.
Yeah. I think the other big thing behind that too is people are motivated differently in very different ways, right? I know a lot of hobbyists that are motivated by gaming, right? And if they're not gaming,
absolutely.
If they're not gaming, they're not painting.
Absolutely true. That's me. A lot of times, I'm going to LVO. I got to finish painting this warband, right? Stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. August is when we saw some new Underworld's warbands. More Grace Blade Coven. Those are the Daughters of Cain warband.
I just bought those and built them, and they are sexier.
They are so nice.
They're really good.
Yes, Anthony is painting those up for me, and I'm going to use them as unit leaders.
Yeah.
And man, those models are so good.
I bought them I planned on using them as like fodder for like Dark Eldar or Dark Eldari conversions, Drukari, whatever the hell. And I just fell in love with the kit so much. I was like, nope, I'm just going to build them. I'm going to build them and paint them. And if I want to do that conversion down the road, I'll buy another set. But
Yep.
there's a lot of the cool thing about that set not to slow us down, but
That's all right.
a lot of the models, they totally harken back to old, like 3rd, 4th edition Dark Elf art.
Yep.
Very, very clearly. And I
Yep.
I love when Games Workshop does that, dude. Like the grognard in me just goes, oh yeah.
And it's intentional, right? It's intentional.
Totally.
They tell the sculptors, go crazy, right? They say, hey, we need a warband for Seraphon. Go for it. We need
what they do is
daughters.
They have this big tome of all the old Mark Gibbons and Jess Goodwin. Ding, ding, ding. Lords and Heroes bingo. Artwork. And they just go, okay, which one of these Mark Gibbons pictures would you like to?
That's more of an IC's bingo, but we'll let it go.
There you go. But yeah, phenomenal models. I can't wait to paint them.
Yeah, absolutely. Blitzbowl's. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so taken with the Daughters of the King. Morgoth's Crushers were also released. The new Oryx models.
Yep.
For Underworlds.
I got those
Blitzbowl
guys too.
Season 2 was announced, along with Crypt Hunters as a Blood Bowl team.
Oh yeah, the undead team. So
yes,
good.
The Crypt
so
Hunters,
good.
yeah. And they announced at the same time they announced Blitzbowl Season 2. And if you want to hear more about Blitzbowl Season 2, where would you go?
The Crush
podcast.
Crush.
Yes. Excellent podcast. They actually broke Season 2 down, I think, in a couple different episodes where they talk about the release and the models and the strategies. Yes. The Crush, Jody and Matt,
like all
did a great
things.
job.
If you're a Blitzbowl aficionado and you're not listening to The Crush, well, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. Yep. September is when we see the really big first wave of Lumineth finally being released. Now, this includes the Battle Tome, the Endless Spells, and the Shinari Kathalar. And that's the model that has the veil going across her face.
Yep.
And so you can kind of see the detail of her face through the cloth. It is such an amazing sculpt for a gaming miniature. I can't even.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's definitely on the list of just to paint models for fun.
Oh my god!
Literally for just to learn that technique of just glazing subtly and just to do that skin showing through the veneer, the sheer cloth. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I've seen so many different variations that people have done where either the cloth is obscuring her face, or you can see the color of her face through it.
Yeah.
Or it's they make it almost like it's transparent completely.
Mm-hmm.
And you're painting something to look like it's not there. That's crazy to me. But people have done some amazing stuff with that. But this release also included their dice, which are these kind of long cylindrical dice.
Were they the ones that kind of looked like crystals, like the little ice crystals?
Yes, they're long
Stop it.
Cylindrical.
Stop it, GW.
Cylinders.
You're drunk.
I love them. People hate them. Some people really hate them.
I gotta say, out of all the dice, and of course, what drives everybody the most crazy is when because they'll mix and match. They'll do like the sixes will be on, the ones and sixes will be reversed with the symbols, which is just unspeakable. But I gotta say, man, out of all those dice, my favorite are the squig.
Yes.
The squig dice.
They bounce.
I played a game against Dev, and we were just dying a lot. Those dice are so rad. They do stuff like that, man. Take my money.
Right. The problem with them is when they start bouncing into your models because people aren't being careful.
We were playing on a table war, Matt. And honestly, it's not like these things are like doing like bouncing. You don't throw them at the table and you're fine.
Well, yeah, the guy I was playing, they were bouncing a little bit more than I would have liked, but
he was a little too in character.
Yeah, they were jumping out of his dice tray. They're fun though. They're a lot of fun. You're right. I actually like the long form dice. I think they're kind of fun. I also like the double 6 dice where they're 12-sided dice that have double numbers, and people don't want me to use them because they think they're not fair. It's like it's the same chance. Whatever. Okay, whatever.
I'd let you use them, Adan.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that because I'm not good enough to cheat. So later in September, they released the big Stoneheart King model and the Stone Mage, along with a bunch of the other units as well. What do you think about that Stoneheart King / Stone Mage?
In a way, I love what Games Workshop and hate what Games Workshop is doing with the elves. I understand why they're doing it. I completely understand. And in a way, I'm almost happy that every elven army that comes out, I don't have to buy. I can look at it and go, you know what? It's not for me. it kind of is better for me that way. Because if they released like a new modernized, old elf army with like the phoenix and the elven dragon themed, I would probably buy it. So the whole mountain cow thing motif never really jived with me, and I'm okay with that.
Well, they are pulling from a different kind of aesthetic, right?
Yeah,
it's a different aesthetic from other cultures that they are doing. Yeah, so but it's cool. I agree. I like seeing that there's a broad range of stuff, that they're not feeling like they're married to the old things. Also, it's easier for them to copyright it. Let's face it, there's a business reason for it, right?
I suppose. I think it's more just they're trying to really make Age of Sigmar its own thing, and they're going away. It's like a concerted effort to go away from the old tropes, the old Tolkien, the old Hammer. Like which is weird because there's still so many old Hammer models that are still part of the range. But when those models get redone,
Dryads in 16 unit boxes. Don't get me started.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dryads can only be fielded in groups of 10, but the box is 16 models.
That box is also like old enough to drink. So
true. I mean, they've held up really, really well. I mean, I was painting 60 of them today, but yeah, I mean, come on, they repackaged them, right? They put them in a different box.
It might be the way the sprue is cut, though.
It might be like 4 to a sprue.
So
pretty sure.
So do you want 8 or 12?
No,
they come in.
Give me 20.
Yeah.
Put in one more. So what I found on eBay is that there's a whole market for selling 4 Dryads.
Oh, how funny!
So that people can round out their squads. Anyway,
you should have you should have hit me up, because I have got like probably 80 of those things.
Oh, the older one? I mean, of the.
Yeah, the older. I've got wood elves out the Whoosy. Yeah.
Do you play? We'll talk. If you want to get rid of some, let me know.
Sure.
Because I run 60 in the list, but you can summon them as well.
So, yeah. Anyway. I got you covered.
Also in September, Arena Mortis for Underworlds was released. It's basically a battle royal format where you have individual heroes who are fighting it out in a battle royal in the Arena Mortis. I haven't tried it.
I do not recall this at all.
Yeah, well, because it happened in September, which was the heat of everything not happening, right? I was really wanting to do, when I first heard about it, I was like, I would love to run an event for this.
Sure.
But there was no events. So I'm moving to Southern California, to the Diamond Bar / Fullerton, Ontario area. And so there's a Warhammer store like less than 15 minutes away or 20 minutes away from me. And I'm within 25 minutes or so of the new Warhammer Cafe that's going to be opening down there.
Nice.
So I'm hoping to either get into some events or maybe help run some events or whatever. So there's also a store there called The Realm that's not too far away from me. It's like less than 15 minutes.
Sweet.
And I reached out to them on Facebook, and they were really, really nice. They're also not running events right now, obviously, but because California is still just barely coming out of some heavy restrictions.
Yeah.
But they sound really welcoming as well. So I'm looking forward to, I'm kind of hating leaving a community here of people who've been really, really receptive and great to work with.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun to meet new people and get new opportunities.
For sure. And it's, if you're ever in that area again, you hit some of those people up. And
sure, absolutely.
Friendships were made. That's never a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. In September, Games Workshop announced a Legendary Battalions update with links back to the electronic version of the White Dwarf that featured many of the war scrolls that were involved with the Legendary Battalions. It was a tie-up of all the different available materials for the different Legendary Battalions. It's a kind of a niche thing, but just kind of throwing that out there. They put out a fantastic article about using your existing army and models in Warcry. They were really getting into this idea of tying two together. I talked earlier about them releasing all the card packs. This was a good follow-on to that. It's a good follow-on to what we've been talking about on this show. They're really kind of embracing this idea of lots of different ways to use your models.
Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense. Yeah, that cross-contamination, it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at with this new release that just came out with the Hedonites, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the first thing I said? I really want to use heavy infantry in a Warcry warband. Would I ever buy Hedonites for any other reason? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, Dan's doing the same thing. He bought a bunch of the models. I'm like, you're doing Hedonites, right? Oh no, for Warcry.
Right. So,
but it also, here's the funny thing with it is there's certain units which we'll get more into with you read their war scroll and you're like, oh dear sweet Jesus, what happened there? But in Warcry, those models might be a little bit better. So again, back to that gaming kind of inspiring painting, like
right.
it's just it's very interesting how like a unit could be a little bit subpar, in AOS, and then in Warcry they're good. So you're just like, okay, I guess I'll paint them.
Yeah.
Or they're at least not at the very bottom of the docket to paint. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's interesting.
Also in September, Black Library released Realm Lords by Dale Lucas, and the Reader's Choice was announced. There was a 40K category and a Warhammer Chronicles category, which included no AOS fiction at all. And for people who want to know, the winner was The Demon's Curse by Dan Abbott and Mike Lee. We're just finishing up September. We're going to be moving into October. Justin, I see you have something else on the table. What do you have on the table right now?
I had to level up a little bit.
You did level up. What is that?
Just a little bit of Jameson. Nothing big.
Is this the Jameson Black Label?
Little sipper. Nah, it's just the bog standard cheap stuff.
Yeah. I leveled down.
You were starting to rev down, so now you're trying to rev back up.
Well, it's but this is it's a double.
Espresso?
Double shot. Yeah. Double shot latte. Yeah.
Good.
I get the short latte because it's less milk. Got to watch the figure, Anyway, all right.
You are looking lean and mean.
Thank you. Appreciate that. People are talking about the people talking about the quarantine 15. I actually lost a little over 20 pounds in quarantine. It turns out that the community I was living in has this really nice central area with a actually pretty nice gym that nobody was using, and I could just walk down there.
Oh wow!
Or I would actually jog down there. It's about just over a third of a mile, so I'd jog down there, do a really nice workout, jog back.
Nice.
The whole thing would take about an hour, and it was awesome.
I broke down and bought an adjustable bench, like an incline decline kind of thing.
Oh, you got the decline. The decline is the hard thing to find in a gym.
Yeah, this one just goes down, up, nice. And then I bought some digital adjustable weights. I spent all this money. I've probably used it like 6 times. Oh wow. It's just it's so hard to work out at home. It just is. And my gyms are opening back up, and it's time to get fit.
That's cool. Yeah.
Anywho.
October is when we saw the Warcry Catacombs release with the Canites and the Scions of the Flame. The Scions of the Flame. Canites. Oh my gosh. The Canite models. We had seen the Scions of the Flame a long time ago in the previews, but oh my gosh, those Canite models.
Talk about those models for one second. I was really amazing. I have them. They're just right behind me up on that shelf. They're all built, primed on corks, ready to go. I was surprised I saw them. I thought they were the glimpse of like the new elves. You know what I mean? I thought they were going to be more Malarion elves, because they have so many similarities to the original Warhammer Quest elves.
Right.
So that was a trip when I was like, oh, they're Canites. Okay, cool. Apparently
they're not like quote unquote normal Canites.
No.
They're kind of like, okay, Maratha, you're cool, but we're not with you.
Yeah. See, I got to read more of the lore on them, but they're in the new Battle Tome, right? They're in the new. Oh, they're not?
No.
I thought they're part of the Canite. Okay.
They have a war scroll that you can play them in Daughters of Cain, but they're not in the Battle Tome unless I'm missing something.
Okay. I thought they were part of the book.
I don't think they are. Maybe I missed it.
Either way, those models, again, Games Workshop flexing. Games going, look at what we can do.
Yes.
And I can't wait to paint those dudes.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Yes.
And the Scions of the Flame. Oh, come on.
Yeah,
they're so very good. Yeah.
Yes. So Catacombs is basically like a kill team arena version of Warcry, where everything's kind of like 2-dimensional. There's no like varying levels like the original Warcry. That's going to disadvantage some of the war bands that are able to do really cool things with jumping on and off of things. but it's a way to play it more kind of two-dimensional, kind of easy setup, easy takedown.
Sure.
Probably really good for events, that kind of stuff. So I got really lucky because Rob Bishop wanted the Scions of the Flame. So I was like, dude, I will give you the Scions of the Flame, and you paint the Canites for me. So,
sweet deal.
Win-win.
Have you gotten those models back yet, or is he still working on them?
He's still working on them. It's just fine because, I mean, I don't really have a way to use them right now. Not like I'm playing a lot of Warcry, so.
Sure.
The Sons of Behemoth were released. Is it Behemoth or Behemoth?
Behemoth?
I don't.
Behemoth?
Behemoth.
Behemoth.
So that was released.
With that crazy big
Mega Gargant.
Mega big bro.
So, seriously, they could come up with a better name than Mega Gargant. Seriously.
At this point, Adan, I think they've run out of words. You know?
I
They
mean,
run out.
in the
They're all
moral realms, people are going to go, "Oh, look at that Gargant. He's mega." I mean, seriously? That's the vocabulary choice in the mortal realms? I don't know.
That being said, that model, holy crap.
Yeah.
I will buy that eventually and just spend a few months painting it because it just look. I've seen some people do some crazy stuff.
Amazing stuff. Yes.
Because the coolest thing, you know, obviously with allies, you know, you're doing an undead army. You know, I've seen people ally in that bro and zombie him up and have all the leaky wounds and they have special rules to include them in a 2K army. So what do we know?
Yes, that's a good thing to know. Good thing to know.
I should buy one and like I should like elf him up,
fish him up,
and have him with like pointy ears that are like held on with like a little strap, you know, and give him like a little dress. One of us.
Fishnets hanging up, having fishnets hanging off of him and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, obviously that the model, because it has like what 3 or 4 different builds you can do.
Yeah.
And
one
there's
of them is a guy who has.
It's nautical. He's got like fishnets or you know not fishnet stockings because that would just be Slanesh, but he's got nets and hooks and.
I guess you could paint him with fishnet stockings. That would be worse than Harlequins.
With a Cathalar riding on his head, a sheer.
Yeah. There's exclusive characters that were released from the AOS Air Battle box. They had that game. It was a box game where it was all flying models. So there was a Caradron Overlord Endrin Master with a dirigible suit that was in that original battle box.
Yeah.
So he was released separately, and so was the Magister on the Disc of Zinch, which is the dude who has like 5 eyes.
Yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah.
Super
So they
cool.
released them as separate models in October of last year.
Wow.
Speaking of Zinch dudes on discs, so in the Demon Army, you can run a unit with like 5 or 6 of those guys on discs.
Yeah, the Beastmen.
The Zangors on discs.
Yeah.
Those guys are ridiculously.
They're
awful.
brutal.
Yeah, they move like 100 inches. They have like 300 attacks. Their discs have more attacks than they do.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. They piled into a unit of Kurnoth hunters, which are 5 wounds each. All right.
And blended.
Oh, they got blended. It was crazy.
Well, it's because you should have had a little screen of dryads in front to take that.
I couldn't because the Kurnoth hunters were engaged with a bunch of Zangors who had just eaten some dryads. So anyway.
Has been pretty A-list. Yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, the good thing for me was that I was running Sylvaneth, and so I had 5 casters, right? So I was actually able to dispel some stuff, and it was helpful. If I had been running my Seraphon, which I only have like 2 or 3 casters, or the Daughters of Cain, which I only run 2 or 3 casters, I just would have got completely hammered in the Magic phase. So the only thing that really helped me with the Sylvaneth in that regard is that I had so many casters, right?
Interesting.
So, yeah. I mean, Lord of Change, roll 17 dice, pick the 3 you like the best, and then use 2 of them, or I don't know. It was some weird thing.
How real quick, Adan, how are you finding, like you've been jumping armies a little bit here and there with the Canites and with the Seraphon. And I look at these battle tomes and I don't know, maybe 2 armies? You know, like because there's so much to these books, right?
Yes.
Are you finding?
So the answer is I don't do it well. Is what I find.
Sure.
So one of the things that really, really helps is AOS reminders. So there's a website called AOS Reminders. Write it down, use it. It is fantastic. You put in what units are in your army. You can even put in like what glade that you're playing or whatever. And then you print out this sheet that tells you in the hero phase, don't forget to do this. In the shooting phase, don't forget to do this. It is so helpful. I mean, you still have to know, like, you know, how many attacks your guys have and stuff like that. But in terms of making sure you don't forget stuff and making sure that you kind of include all the little special abilities that you have, it's invaluable. It's an invaluable asset, resource, and that guy deserves like
apparently too. Trophy. Yeah, I remember you talking about that a while ago. Reminder for that reminder app, but I heard Vince, I think it was Vince, on the Warhammer Weekly, and he was talking about there's another app apparently where you can input your list. You can import it from War Scroll Builder, and it'll kind of run it through an algorithm and rate it as much as it can based off of like your shooting output, your synergy, all the stuff that, because obviously it can't take into account certain things. And I'm sorry, I'm ill prepared with the name, but check out Warhammer Weekly, awesome stuff. Vince is the man. That sounded really fascinating because it's just like, before you dump all this money into an army, just make it real quick on War Scroll Builder, drop it into there, and it'll at least give you like a ballpark idea of like,
I like the AOS War Scroll Builder. Yeah,
it's cool that we have all these tools nowadays.
Yeah, I like the 40K one too. The 40K one's kind of
the actual Games Workshop 40K app you're talking about. Yeah.
It's still kind of a live beta, so every time they push a major update, it deletes all your lists.
Oh no!
So we just have to remember to email yourself your list. It's not that big of a deal as long as you know that you're supposed to do that. The AOS one, I love it. I use it a lot.
Yeah. Every time I play.
I love the fact that you can go directly to the war scrolls from the units. I love the fact that it'll validate it for you. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So in the last thing in October is Black Library. They restarted their horror series. So it went dark. That's kind of funny, right? Horror going dark. Come on now. Warhammer Horror went dark at the beginning of the lockdown, and they restarted it. November shows us Shadow and Pain being released, along with exclusive heroes, both the Daughter of Cain and Hedonites of Slaanesh. Shadow and Pain. Now, this is one of those ones where I was like, I need that hero, but I didn't want to deal with, you know, the Hedonites that were in there and the other stuff that was in there that I didn't need for the daughters. So okay, let's just wait.
If there was demonettes in there that didn't look like bodybuilding critters,
they take their pleasure and pain in other ways.
Yeah, they take it to terrible sculpt land that need to be updated.
The Marathi book was released with the new rules for the Daughters of Cain and the battle plans for the Fish Elves, Chaos, and Dark Elves. That was an interesting little book because it actually had some really good things for both you and for me, because it had the Adan and Deepkin rules in there and the new ally stuff between them and Daughters of Cain, and some cool story too about Marathi's machinations and her interactions with the different factions.
Yep, bought it.
Of course. They also started previewing the Hedonites, including Sigvald coming back from the world that was. Very good. The 2020 Battle Force boxes were released that were Ogors, Disciples of Zeet, the Karajan Overlords, and the Gloomspite Gifts. They all had 2020 Battle Force boxes. They put those out, obviously, beginning of November because of what?
COVID?
No, Christmas. They do them every year, the Battle Force boxes. Christmas, Boxing Day, yes, the Battle Force boxes. Black Library released Bone Reapers by David Geimer and Elves the Omnibus by Graham McNeil, which was a compilation of a bunch of old world that was stories about elves, which is interesting that they actually titled it Elves and not AEL. It's titled Elves because it's from the world that was. And Covens of Blood. and Covens of Blood by Anna Stevens, Lane Merciel, and Jamie Crisali. Covens of Blood, obviously, they're doing that to correspond with the release of the Shadow and Pain box and the Marathi book.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. December, Dire Chasm went up for pre-order. Dire Chasm is the new season of Warhammer Underworlds, one of my favorite games.
Yep.
I love
Adan
running
was
events for that.
much excite.
I like to play it. Dire Chasm. Anthony and I have already have the outline written up for the show we want to do on Dire Chasm. And so, yes,
Nice.
Dire Chasm went up for pre-order. Warcry faction books went up. So what they did with Warcry is they broke up each of the 4 Grand Alliances into their own books, which I have to say I really appreciated because I don't need all of them.
Sure.
I only need the order ones, right? So don't charge me for a book that has all 4. Right? I'm sorry for the people who have stuff in all the different factions, and so they would have to buy multiple books. I get that, but for me, I liked it because I have daughters. Right? I have daughters and Seraphon and Stormcast, and Sylvaneth, and I'm happy. I'm happy to have the faction book. The Canaanites and the Scions of the Flame from the Catacombs box were released as separate units, along with a Legions of Nagash and Sylvaneth box that I talked about earlier. That was nice to see them release those as separate boxes, so you can buy those Canaanites as their own separate box. You have to get that
as soon as that dropped, I bought them. Take my money. Yep.
Bugmason Battle Plan was released for use to be able to use Bug Mason. It's the guy who brews the beer, right? For using him on the tabletop.
Take another swig of beer, and then you'll be able to pronounce that name.
Yes. They previewed the Heat Knights of Slaanesh right at Christmas time. They previewed all the stuff for Heat Knights of Slaanesh. I thought that was kind of a fun little twist to do that right at Christmas. Pleasure and pain, because Christmas season can be some pleasure and pain for folks. For sure. Yeah. Black Library released right there in time of Christmas the 12 Tales of Christmas collection, which included 3 Mortal Realm stories. They were sort of Mortal Realm stories. They do this every Christmas. They release a 12 Tales of Christmas, corresponding to the 12 Days of Christmas. And it's fun. Like I said, short stories. If you're into the lore, those are always great things to keep an eye out for.
Sure.
So that brings us to the end of 2020, and the miniature of the year was...
Shocker.
Gazgul Thraka. It was not an Age of Sigmar model at all.
Which is funny.
Why is that funny?
Because AOS has some serious models. Like, I really think, obviously 40K, I think 40K probably just has like the draw of like more people play it.
Right.
But I do believe. Yeah, exactly. But man, Age of Sigmar, they just off the rails with these models. They're insane.
I agree. So
whether you like them or not.
Won. Right. Yeah. Gazgul Thraka won. In fact, the top 3 were all 40K models. The highest rated Age of Sigmar model was the Mega Gargant.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing in the last few years is whichever is the biggest model that was released, that ends up being the model of the year. Like Magnus was, and Mortarion was, and those tend to be the ones that end up being the model of the year.
Yep, makes sense.
Miniature of the year. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be looking into the scrying pool.
All right, and we're back. Welcome back to the show, guys. It's been fun. And now we are on to the scrying pool. And in the scrying pool, we got some new year, new army stuff to talk about, right, Adan? 2021, new army, new year, better year, hopefully.
Yes, it better be.
There is a lot of talk of alien disclosure, so that could go one way or another, but we'll see, I suppose.
I thought, 2021, yes, it's going to be better. And what happens? Like half the country completely freezes, right? The entire state of Texas just froze over. It's just 2021. It was like, 2020, here, hold my beer. 2021, new year, new army. Am I going first? You want me to go first?
Yeah,
I'll go first.
Live it. Yeah.
My new year, new army, NYNA 2021. Use the hashtag is Sylvaneth. Yes. Sylvaneth is my army. I've been looking to play them. I was looking forward to playing them in Underworlds. And now I'm going to be able to do it in Warcry and Age of Sigmar. I already had the Beastgrave starter, which had the Sketh's Wild Hunt, and Ithari's Guardians, which were in Nightvault. And so I had bought a Start Collecting Sylvaneth box because I was going to ally them in with my Seraphon, because that was a build that some people were doing. And then the new Seraphon tome dropped and people stopped doing it. So I still had that box. I'm like, what happened was... my friend Rob had this really nicely painted kind of winter-themed Sylvaneth army, 2,000-point Sylvaneth army. Really nice, kind of blues with a light blue and then like white on the tips of the leaves. Really cool, snow on the bases. I love that army. He used it to beat me into the ground a couple times. Really nice. He decided he didn't like the way that Sylvaneth got nerfed out lately, and he sold the army. And I didn't know that he sold the army. I talked about this a little bit earlier. I go to the game store, and I see his army on the shelf, because our local store, they'll buy your army from you at 50% of retail, and they'll sell it at 75% of retail. So it's a way for them to kind of keep things live in the community, make a little money off it themselves, but it allows people to get, like, you can pick up a random Space Marine, right? I mean, there's ways to you can use it. And I see part of his army there, and I'm like, what the hell? So I was able to rescue the Tree Lord Ancient and Drytha, the Buzz lady, the bee lady. Yep. And there were 5 painted Tree Revenants and some busted up Dryads, like 5 busted up Dryads. Well, I didn't buy the Dryads, but I definitely bought the 2 big models of Robs that were left and the Tree Revenants. And I'm like, Rob, dude, what's up? Why didn't you tell me you were going to sell this army? I would have bought it from you, or I would have given you the 75% of retail, because Baxter's only gave me 50%, right?
Right.
So I was like, Urgh! But I thought, actually, this is good because I can use my Start Collecting box, right? I can use a Start Collecting box to, build a Spirit of Drithu, and then it has a Branch Witch in it, and more Dryads. You can always use more Dryads, right? Because you can summon them. Mm-hmm. So
you're gonna stick with the winter theme, and it'll all be themed
so I was
out?
like, I really like the way he painted them. Anyway, I love that army, and so he came over yesterday. No, what's today? Sunday. 2 days ago, he came over and we played a game, and then he kind of talked me through how he had painted them. So that, and then today I was on a Zoom call earlier with my buddies from Endgame, and I had this big thing here with 60 Dryads on it, and I'm just painting loincloths and branches and leaves and stuff.
Sure.
And now I have the Sylvaneth army, and so I'm on eBay. I'm like, okay, I need some Kurnoth hunters, and so I look at the Warcry box, and the Warcry box has Kurnoth hunters and Tree Revenants in it for like the cost of just the Kurnoth hunters.
Oh, interesting.
Plus you get cards and tokens and stuff like that. Like,
sure.
This is a really good deal. So I bought that Warcry box. I look and it's like, oh, this guy's selling 3 Kurnoth hunters already assembled, so I will buy them. So he sends me, it was 3 Kurnoth hunters unassembled. I get 2 full sealed boxes of Kurnoth hunters. I don't know why. I bid on.
I love those models.
Oh, this guy's selling 20 Dryads. Okay, I'm going to buy 20 Dryads. There's 40 Dryads in the box that this guy sent me. It's like weird. I ended up with like eBay bonus, right?
They seeded in the box and sprouted, and
I don't know what it is. So with the stuff that I had, I ended up with 57 Dryads. So I go to Baxter's and I bought 3 of the messed up ones they had there.
Sure. I mean, they're
Dryad, Oh yeah, she's missing an arm, like big deal. In a group of 20, you're really not going to see her. No. Right.
So it's easy enough. You can go in your backyard and grab like a random twig.
Right.
And
You just grab the branch and you stick it on there.
You're fine.
Yeah. So now I was able to play a 2,000 point army on Friday with Drycha and Tree Lord Ancient, a Branch Witch, 2 Branch Wraiths. I actually was able to get the Branch Wraith model from the local Warhammer store. It's a fine cast model, but it's only got 2 pieces, so it's not a big deal.
Sure.
And 2 Branch Wraiths, 60 Dryads, 3 units of 20, and 10 Tree Revenants, and 6 Kurnoth Hunters.
Sweet.
So that was the army, the Kurnoth Hunters at the side.
Let me know if you end up with some, because the Tree Revenants, that's a dual kit, right?
Yes, Tree Revenants and Spite Revenants. It does both.
Right. So let me know if you end up with any of the extra, because they have the kind of elven heads with the long hair, which are the...
Yes, that's the ones I'm using, the Tree Revenants.
Are you using
those? Yeah. So the Tree Revenants...
Even some of the alternate bits, if you don't use those other heads, I've seen some really cool use for those in different, like, Dark Eldar kind of...
Oh, I can too. Yeah.
Slaaneshi. So any of those, I'll buy them off you for sure, or we'll trade.
Okay.
Figure it out.
Yeah. And just pay for shipping. It's fine.
Sure.
So the Tree Revenants have this really cool ability where they can go from, you take them off the table, and they can basically go anywhere on the table that's 9 inches away from your opponent.
Right. That army is all about like just jumping all over the board through the realm routes, right? Yeah.
Well, so the thing with the rest of the army is that you have to set up your trees, right? They have to do it through the trees.
Yeah.
Well, the Tree Revenants, they don't need the trees. They basically have their own. They are the trees, so they can go wherever they want. So what's really cool with them is that if somebody leaves an objective by itself, or they put a little squishy unit on an objective, or they leave a caster by himself, you swoop right in, snipe one of their casters. I tried to snipe the wrong caster. They got their lunch handed to them because they're kind of fragile. But yeah,
you figure your first 10 to 15, 20 games with any new battle tome, it's going to be rough going. You're going to make all these mistakes, even with all our reminder apps and all that. Just you got to play it. You got to play it, feel it out.
Yeah. So he came over at about 2:30. We called it at like 6:30, and we played 2 turns. Right, because we were setting things up and we were talking about it, and he was helping with stuff, and he's looking at his stuff, and I'm looking at my stuff, and how many attacks? I mean, because he hadn't played with demons before either, right? So he's got a Lord of Change, and he's got a couple other casters. All their units use magic. So he had horrors, a unit of horrors. Horrors are they cost too many points. They're like 260 points, something like that. In order to run a
20, I hope.
Yeah. In order to run a complete set of horrors where they split into blues and they split into brimstones,
sure,
you have to spend. I priced it out. You have to spend $280 because let's say you want to run 20 horrors. That's 2 boxes, right?
Yeah.
The brimstones and blue horrors come in a box where there's 10 of each.
Okay.
Right? So if you want to play 20 horrors, you need 4 of those boxes to get 40 blues.
Sure.
Right. So what do you have? You only have 40 brimstones. You need another 4 boxes because you want 80 brimstones.
Or you just glue 1 per base.
Right? And so that's what we were talking about. Or you take a bunch of bases and you glue a little blue crystal on it and you say, this is my brimstone horror,
There's ways around that we won't go into, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying if you wanted to go to a GW sanctioned event, right, you have to have GW models.
Yeah.
It would cost you, that one unit would cost you $280.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
That is nuts. So this goes back to my 16 dryads in a box. They just have to come to a better way of, like, it would make more sense to box the horrors
separately.
Or 10 blues and 20 brimstones, right? Because 10 blues split into 20 brimstones.
Yeah. Right.
Right? So why are you giving me 10 and 10? That don't make no damn sense. Right? So anyway, I digress. So yeah, New Year, new army. The Sylvaneth are my new army. I'm very stoked about it. I have all the points that I need to be playing that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to jumping into this army as well. I already have lists that I've built with allying him in with other stuff. I still love my Daughters of Cain. I still love my Monster Mash Seraphons. But yeah, the Sylvaneth are pretty cool, and I'm excited about being able to paint them up using the scheme that Rob used, because it's a stupid easy theme that he's using for them. He uses the gray sear for the quote unquote bark or flesh. Anything that looks like armor, like on the bigger guys, he paints black using the black contrast.
Yep.
And then the leaves on all the branches, he paints using, we use the Talisar blue for the branches. All right. And then you do like a little arrow just on the tops of the branches with the ice blue. It's called Lothran blue.
Okay.
Right. You just use that and kind of just on the like in a point, just on the tips of the leaves, and then you go with just a dot of white paint at the end of the leaf. Just
give contrast and to look like they're
frost. It looks amazing. It looks amazing. Cool. And his stuff, like I said, he comes up with these techniques where it doesn't take very long. It's not very difficult. It uses a lot of contrast paint, and it gets them done quickly. Okay. And if you look at his armies, they always look great because he comes up with these really cool schemes that basically maximize and optimize the use of those different resources. And he has a good eye for contrast.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get contrast down and then like find those little like cheats,
right?
Air quotes, to getting that army tabletop. I mean, that's huge. And then you can go back and spend a little extra time on the characters and stuff and add little things here and there. But getting that stuff, those types of products like contrast or learning how to use the airbrush, all that stuff goes such a long way, man. Yeah. Such a long way.
If you go to our Facebook community page, I posted some pictures from the game, and I actually have Drycha out in the sunlight, and you can kind of see how he did her. And you can see it's a very simple scheme. The techniques are not difficult, but she looks great. And on a table, I mean, the whole army just pops out really nicely because of the white dots and the ties into the snow on the base. Rob is a master at doing the easy but nice looking armies.
Sure.
So what's your new army?
Real quick, it's really cool to see contrast go from like this demonized thing of like how it was rolled out. You know what I mean? Like when it was rolled out, people were like, "It looks like." Well, a lot of people still poo-poo it, and I think contrast is just fantastic used, in different ways. Like I don't really use it the Games Workshop way, but those colors are absolutely fantastic, and you should try them out.
Well, and it's again, what's wrong with having another excellent tool in the toolbox?
Nothing at all.
Right? Do you have to use them 100% of the time? No. Do you have to use them exactly the way that they say you have to use them? No. Is it something that's fantastic in other applications? Absolutely.
If you're like not, if you've never tried contrast, you really should. Just try thinning them down and using them as a glaze or a wash. Yeah, phenomenal.
Use the contrast medium if you thin them. So.
Yeah, the contrast medium helps. Sure. If you want to stick with that kind of like wash, what they're designed to do, right? Very cool, man. I'm excited. I'm excited that you are doing the Sylvaneth. That's I look forward to seeing them snow boys. And also, you should look into that for the bases. There's like this crushed glass material you can use for like the best realistic snow. Just wear a respirator, so you don't die. But that's like the best.
Where do you get that from?
I actually have not used it. Dan just did, because I'm not really a big fan of like doing the themed armies in that way, because you put that snow army on a desert table or a grass table and it kind of looks weird. But I've seen this stuff used. I don't know the manufacturer of it, but I've seen it used and it looks so realistic. We'll get some links. I'll put it in the little show notes. Because a lot of the other snow stuff, it just tends to look like colored
I don't
flock,
like using a lot of it. I just use like a little patch of it here and there, just so it kind of ties it in.
Keeping it kind of subtle. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have the Alpine mat from Table War that I like to use this army on. So if I'm playing at my house and I'm going to be playing my army, I'm going to use my Alpine.
Yeah. I mean, and when you have a snow-based army or a snow-themed, winter-themed army on a snow mat, so it looks so cool.
Yeah, it's excellent. So, Justin, do you have a New Year, New Army 2021?
I do.
What is that?
I do and I don't, because I already have like so much of it in boxes that I've been able to use. But I am all in on the Hedonites of a Slaanesh.
Yes, you are. I saw that
Yeah.
stack of stuff.
You know, I bought pretty much everything. Bought all of it and then some. I actually have the Queen of Ecstasy.
Oh, you have more.
here from
She was not that assembled when I was looking at it before. That is, yeah. So that's a creature caster model from Monument Hobbies. And if you go to monumenthobbies.com,
creature caster.
Oh, creature
I don't
caster,
know.
not.
I don't think creature caster and monument are linked anymore. They were for a minute. They had this weird conglomerate, but
Oh, I thought you could buy their models on their website. Can you not?
I could be wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong, and I probably should know that. But she is a creature caster model. I also picked up two of the matriarch miniatures from Creature Caster, which are like these phenomenal hero models. Because to be frank, I'm really not a fan of a lot of the Games Workshop plastic Slaanesh demon stuff.
Yeah.
So I've got like behind me, I've got a tray.
Slaanesh enough for you.
I mean, there's Slaanesh enough, you know. It's like I don't need everything to be covered in breasts and piercings. And that's like I bought a bunch of them when they first putting off painting them, and I was like, you know, I don't like them, so I sold them all off. And thankfully, I have a crap ton of the old like Juan Diaz Demonette range, so I have got like 40 of those the old metal, which working with metal miniatures, memories. I got 40 of them, and then I picked up some Raging Heroes demon models that tie in perfectly, and they have that sleek aesthetic with the tentacly hair and.
Yeah, Raging Heroes, for me, that's the only thing that they do that I think fits their brand. I hate their sisters models. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean they do have a tendency to have like the kind of overly sexualized look.
Yes.
But for Slaanesh stuff.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That kind of fits their aesthetic. Yeah.
And otherwise, the Raging Heroes, whatever they're called, Sisters of Pain or whatever, not demonettes. Their scale is perfect, and they tie in just beautifully with the old
medals.
Medals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've been on like a total tear. I've assembled like everything I have. It's all assembled. It's all primed. It's all zenitholed, and some of it's started painting. The new Slaanesh Seeker models, the Exalted Barb. Those are ridiculous. Everything is ridiculous model wise.
Yeah.
Sigvald, he's all ready to go. Got them all in sub assemblies. He's primed and zenitholed.
Oh wow!
All of it. Wow. It's all built. It's all primed, zenitholed.
Great.
And I stumbled across, because I'm like, okay, how am I going to paint these guys? And I was doing my regular kind of online research, and I stumbled across this guy. He goes by Mohand Art on YouTube. He is, I want to say, French, but he had a video showing how he painted his demons, and I just fell in love with the scheme. So yeah, Mohand Art. Check him out. He's got a lot of videos for painting. It's mostly in French, so you have to kind of watch what he's doing. But some of the videos he'll translate to kind of, not the best English, but you can still figure out what's going on.
Do they not have? There's no closed captioning on the YouTube stuff.
I don't think so. I don't know. I've honestly watched his Slaanesh video like a million times, because I just loved what he was doing with it.
Oh, cool.
And I did some experiments on some of the models, and it paints quick.
Yeah.
It looks super demonic and Slaanesh-y, and I just fell in love with it. So yeah. And the cool thing too, with the Hedonites thing, when I worked for Games Workshop, that dropped the initial Juan Diaz line, and I bits ordered like a ton of all that stuff. And so I had this big like well of old models to choose from. And I was able to like take, like, for example, the new Mirmadesh Painbringers, which are like the Slaanesh Chaos Warriors with the shield and sword.
Yeah, the heavy infantry guys.
Yeah. So I bought, it's a dual kit. So I bought 2 boxes of those, and I ended up building like 1 box of the Twin Souls. And then with the extra bits, I was able to make the other 5 Miramadesh turn into a unit of 10 or 2 units of 5. So I turned 5 into 10 using like the old Slaanesh champions and just random bits and stuff. So I was able to
That's fantastic.
Stretch that hobby dollar a little bit, which is always helpful.
Yeah, I really want to use those heavy infantry guys on Warcry. That's the one box I want to use. Yeah.
The models are insane. It makes me a little sad. I mean, I gotta play with it. I think everybody online is they're kind of poo-pooing it a little bit and saying it's overcosted and the synergies aren't quite there. But to be honest, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I think these models are so rad that even if I lose every game, I'm not going to really care because it looks. I just want to paint them. I want to paint it all.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And a good challenge is good, right? I mean, I played armies that didn't have the best rules for a long time, and you try to make it work.
Right. Well, and then you can really start pushing that concept of, is it the car or is it the driver? Yeah.
It's just weird when you look at some of the war scrolls in the book are a little lackluster, which is kind of sad, like the new Slangor models.
Yeah.
Ooh, you read their war scroll and you're just like, and you look at their points, you're like, I want to take you, but good God, man, wrote that, and some of the things are that bad in the book.
Well, but the one good thing I will say is that GW has been really, really good at doing pivots online, right? They'll release an update within a month, right? So 1 month after that book is released, they will do an update.
Exactly.
So, and they are following the discussions online. We know this for a fact.
Yep.
So, cross your fingers. It's, by the time that they come out their update, things won't even be completely opened yet. So you'll be good.
Yeah, and then tying back into the Warcry thing too, like I'm still going to paint those Slangors. I built them. Yeah. There's Zenithal. They're ready to go. They're getting painted. In AOS, am I going to use them? Probably not until they get fixed. But when Warcry comes around, I got some cool models, and they'll be good, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
So everything Games Workshop's listening, like you said, and I'm sure a lot of the war scrolls in this book, they just at first glance they seem kind of heavily costed. And I know that the last Hedonites book was it was pretty OP. Like it was pretty bad.
So they're overreacting.
It seems like an overcorrection, and then a lot of the buffs or the abilities that you get in the book, it's like you have to jump through like 3 hoops and make a free throw to get there, where it's like other books just get handed that,
Right.
So we'll see where it goes. But to that end, like I'm going to probably treat myself. Like I want to bang this army out, and then I'm probably going to jump into Daughters because I already have I have so many Daughters models in my garage in that new book, and that new battle tome from the it sounds like it's pretty powerful. So it'll be like a yin and yang.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
yeah,
been very
the Daughters of Cain, they come across kind of Slaanesh a little bit anyway. So they're actually more Cornish, I would say.
More corny. Yeah, they're more corny.
Yeah.
But man, I love those models. And the last model that I didn't buy on the initial wave, I just picked up, which was that Glucose, the guy on the Palanquin.
Oh yeah,
I got him. I got him from Herrick. I told myself, I'm like, I'm gonna finish all this stuff and then buy him. And I needed some paints and stuff, so I'm like, I just throw him in there.
Yeah, I logged into Herrick Games and Hobbies just to buy 1 pot of paint.
Yep. Oh, and I can't wait for this.
If he moves away from the mic, folks.
I know. Okay, move away from the mic. Yeah. Finally got the Chimera range of paints.
Oh, wow!
These things have been so coveted. I've watched so many painters use them, and I've heard nothing but good. And,
all right, looking to see what you do with them.
So good. Can't wait.
Looking to see what you do with them. So, what else is coming up in 2021 that we're looking at? Speaking of demons. Oh, yeah. There's a little small upgrade to a well-loved demon model coming out here soon. Now, isn't there? Yeah. Who is it? A named demon? What is that demon?
It's he is named, and his name is Belacor. But I have a feeling that he's going to be in like every army that needs a Demon Prince model. So
Yeah,
you're
exactly. Exactly.
wow, what a re-release. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I don't like it. I'm just not a demon guy. I don't. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's a big demon. Yeah. Okay.
but you get excited by a little nun with a gun. I don't understand you.
I tell you what, the demon I like better than him is the Lord of Change.
Sure.
That's just me. Yeah, whatever.
I mean,
And Marathi, I like Marathi. She's a cool demon. Big Marathi.
yeah, but what an upgrade! I mean, that model literally is like 3 times the size of the original.
Yes.
Which, and he's got obviously bits for AOS and 40K, which is cool.
Yep.
You know, he's either got a dead Space Marine or a dead Chaos Warrior on his base. Looks like a couple different heads you could put on him.
Yeah, looks very cool.
Yeah, for buying for sure. And I can't wait to see his new rules. I'm sure he's getting new rules.
Oh yeah,
for both
it should be
systems.
good. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what people do with that model for sure. But before we go too much further, you kind of gloss right past the paint thing that you were just talking about. For those of us who are not paint aficionados, what is this thing you bought? These paints you bought?
Yeah, these little rascals are from the brand Chimera, spelled K-I, M as in Michael, E-R-A. And what these colors are is basically like single pigment paints. A lot of paints that we use nowadays, they're mixed up from tons of different pigments all mixed in there. So it's really hard to, whereas these ones, it's a very simple range. You have your red, yellow, magenta, orange, green, blue, single pigment paints. And the fundamental idea is that with this range of paints, you can literally make any color under the spectrum. You could literally buy this set of paints and then through mixing your own on your palette or in your airbrush, make any color possible.
But this is a very, very advanced technique, right? For people who are really into their color theory and kind of know what they're doing.
Can be, yeah.
Yeah. And this, you said this, so Chimera, it's a company out of Europe, I think.
Yeah, they're out of Spain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Chimera colors, and they are just, I've seen so many people use these and rant and rave about them, and the problem with them is they sell out super fast. So it's just hard to kind of keep track of like when you can actually buy these darn things, you know, because they do sell out, but they will be used heavily on the Hedonites project, and I will let you all know. Plus, I'll be doing some more Twitch stuff coming up here.
Great. And I would love to see you also try some wet blending with them.
I mean, that's what these are designed to do.
Yeah.
Apparently, the opacity on them is not like, you know, these aren't going to be like a what's the old like foundation, like one coat and done. They're really meant for like layering, for glazing, for filtering. But just the fact that they're single pigment, you're not going to run into that whole. This range of color went out of production, and you know I'm trying to replicate that.
Right.
Literal single pigment, and the size of these things too, man. Like they are in these big, massive. I mean, they are.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, they're big bottles. I don't know if the they're 30 milliliter per.
30 milliliter. Okay.
Yep, and the kit comes with its own kind of mixing medium / thinner, and the Chimera white, which again you can mix these colors and make anything under the sun. So
wow, that's pretty cool. Well, it'd be interesting to see what you do with those. I'm be looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I am too.
What else is on the horizon for 2021?
Yeah, just like all the above we just chatted about, and then also slowly but surely, CK Studios is kind of climbing out of the muck of 2020, so to speak, and getting our foot in the door. Caleb, he's actually as of the time of this recording, Caleb is actually teaching a class today.
In Reno, right?
In Reno, yeah.
I saw that.
And then he's got another one coming up in Sacramento, California area. And then, you know, I'll probably be doing some one-day classes here and there. Of course, we'll let you guys know about that. And then we definitely we have some exciting things on the horizon with regards to kind of stuff I can't really talk about right now, but mostly online classes. We want to start delving into that just because we realize that it's going to take a while for this thing to kind of figure itself out.
Right.
And if we can do some simple little online courses just to get people's foot in the door to coming and painting with us, that's on the docket. And it's exciting. Cool. Yeah, it's just exciting. I can't wait to get back into a classroom and start teaching again. I miss it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And when you do that, what I'd like to do is for that class, I want to bring the models for the new Cursed City Warhammer Quest.
Ooh.
When that gets released. Because that's another 2021 thing that I was like, wait, what? I mean, like that witch hunter guy. I love that guy with the big hat and everything. Oh my God.
Those models are simply amazing. The models I gotta say, the zombies, we waited that many years for that. You've seen the zombies, right?
It's a very different take on them, right? Where they basically have part of the graveyard on their back.
They're all doing like the same walk with the same gravestone. Like,
they're carrying the burden of their death with them, right?
Okay, so have one or two, maybe not all of them. With I don't know.
The other models, the character models, I just think are phenomenal.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, that's the world's smallest violin playing for that gripe.
Yeah, I know. I really, really am looking forward to that. I mean, I know
we're getting a Russian vampire ogre.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and the game itself also looks kind of cool. So, this is going to be different than some of those other box games where people just bought the models and threw the rest of the game out, right? So,
sure.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be very, very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm
looking
that
forward
thing for
to
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take my money.
They have another preview coming out this coming Sunday, I think. GW has another preview coming up Saturday or Sunday. Shadow and Pain, I think is what it's called. So it'll be interesting to see what that's going to be. But yeah, 2021. Hopefully, you see them ramp up really, really nicely. I'm getting my second shot in a couple weeks, so I'm going to be ramping up pretty nicely myself.
Very cool.
In the United States, a lot of people are going to be able to get shots in the next couple of months, so that's going to be pretty awesome. I want to see things kind of get back on a roll, so that would be very nice. I want to get back out
Heck yeah.
into the community and doing stuff, so that would be really good. So that's the scrying pool for past and future 2021, 2020. When we come back, we will close out the show. And we're back. Close out the show. So 2020, it's kind of a hell of a year. It's a dumpster fire of a year.
I think it just needs to be like stricken from the records. Like it goes right from 2019 to 2021 and the world will be a better place.
Yeah, I mean, we lost over 500,000 people in the United States and hundreds of thousands of other people across the world. And that's just kind of chilling that this thing just kind of rolled over the world the way it has.
Yeah.
But it's going to be nice. Like what I was saying earlier, vaccinations rolling out, more and more people getting that going. And so once we get things figured out, mitigations, limitations are happening, it's going to be nice to kind of get things going. A couple of friends of mine and I were able to kind of set things up in my garage with fans and open doors and, kind of setting up our own mitigations. But it'll be nice to kind of get back more into the swing,
For sure. I miss conventions, man.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that because like I was saying earlier, COVID-19 is going to end up being one of those just, endemic things that are out there like measles and the flu and things like that. So, but because it has a higher mortality rate and a higher contagion rate, it's going to be interesting to see, what's going to happen with events. Are they going to do temperature checks? Are they going to? Oh,
I'm sure.
Sanitizer at each table. I mean, what's going to be the thing? I know that for me,
not that that's even going to right because you could be carrying it and not like showing symptoms, spreading it to everybody in that building without it.
Well, and that's why the vaccination part is important, right? So that's interesting. But I think that for me personally, if I'm going to go to an event, if I'm going to play in a large hall with a bunch of people, I'll probably wear a mask.
Yeah. I think the masks are going to be part of our existence for quite a while, if not a long while, even after.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I look better in a mask, so I'm good with that. And I have my Lords and Heroes print mask, so got the show. That's good. That's also available from teespring.com. So I think that it's going to be interesting. I mean, for example, with all the things we're doing, 6 feet and the masks and the hand washing and the sanitizer, did you know that the common flu has killed almost no children in the United States this year?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously schools are closed, right? And so there's a lot of other reasons why that happened, but it just hasn't been spreading very much.
Flu numbers are way down. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of a cool side effect, that's kind of nice, but
take the goods where you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, because we're finding out from Italy that the B117 variant is hitting children hard. So because they had their schools reopened, they're starting to shut down again. So it's never gonna be totally out of our life. It's just gonna be interesting to see how it affects events down the road. But I know I'll be carrying a mask with me. Be carrying my little. I used to carry. Because of gamer funk, I used to carry, this is no lie, in my kit for conventions, I used to carry a can of Febreze or Lysol, air freshener. Okay, yeah, we can deploy.
Just walk up and spray your opponent down. Okay.
Well, I try not to spray actually at them, I don't want to get arrested for assault with a chemical. But yeah, no, but it will be interesting. A, I agree with you. I can't wait to get back to events, but B, it'll be interesting to see how they change.
I hope also too, like not
the
to
new
go
normal.
Yeah, and not to go like full Joe Rogan, but like the preventative stuff that you can do too, of like take your vitamins, dude. Like take your vitamin D, take your vitamin C. Stay hydrated.
Yeah,
just the fundamental
things huge. Yeah,
fundamental things you should be doing. But like, anyways, be proactive, be safe, wear your mask, wash your hands,
get good sleep, eat well.
Wash your armpits and be a good person.
So that'll be really cool. I mean, it was a hell of a year, and hopefully, it should hopefully have a more positive trajectory going forward. The Double Turn was a pub suggested by our one and only Justin, keeper of secrets. We're going to be visiting other Mortal Realms pubs together that's submitted by listeners during last year's contest. You can always send us a suggestion, but it was kind of fun to run that contest last year. We got a lot of great suggestions for pubs that we can visit in 2021. If you're into 40K, there's a podcast called The Independent Characters you might want to check out.
Lots of episodes to listen to. Not many coming out as we speak. I mean, Carl loves to record in person, and it's his baby. Right. But once that thing comes back, it's gonna be fun.
You hear a lot more Justin, a lot less Adan on that podcast, but it's good. It's an excellent podcast. I love it.
Absolutely.
Facebook, leave us a review at the Lords and Heroes Facebook page. You can join our Facebook community, the Lords and Heroes Facebook community. On the Facebook community group, we have that hobby bingo I was talking about. We may even try and get some prizes involved with that. Teespring.com.
Oh, we have to.
Yeah. Teespring.com is where you get all your Lords and Heroes gear, t-shirts, tank tops, face masks, leggings, all kinds of stuff.
All the goods.
What else, Justin?
Absolutely pumped. Again, Monument Hobbies. Thank you so much for partnering with us, with us two hobos, to bring the light and love of your products to the world and give everybody a little discount and help out. Everybody check them out.
The shows.
Nothing but good stuff. Once you start painting with those things, you'll be like, okay, I get it. So check them out.
Yep. And if you go to our Facebook page, you will see the link to get the Lords and Heroes referral.
Yeah, don't forget that link.
Yes. And actually, if you're listening to the show, if you use the coupon code, I think it's Lords and Heroes coupon code, you can get a discount that's different than the one from the referral link. So always good to have listeners support those of us who help us out like Monument Hobbies. Caleb is teaching one-day class up in Reno right now, like you said. The other one's going to be in Sacramento.
Can't wait to see how that was.
Yeah.
To be fair, like we probably all, when we do these classes, we should probably all be wearing masks anyways. So nothing really changed.
Well, if you look at some of the pictures from some of the classes, I actually do wear the respirator when I'm airbrushing indoors with all the other airbrushes going. It's just smart. Yeah.
Mad Max. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And then just another shout out, since you're wearing their sticker, I'll shout them out again. Herrick Hobby and Games. If you don't have a friendly local game store that you're supporting with your purchases, or your local game store is not friendly, That definitely happens.
Also,
Herrick,
though, I will add,
Yeah.
he stocks insanely cool stuff that a lot of stores don't.
Yeah. Well, Herrick
And you
Hobby
get
and Games.
yeah, you get them at a discount. Awesome stuff. But yeah, support your local store. But if you
Unless
do
they're
check
not
out,
friendly. If they're not friendly,
if they're not friendly, if it's a bunch of jagaloons, then don't. But also, we do have a charity event
yes.
promotion thing that'll be happening in April, and that is going to be literally the entire. I don't know the details of if it's going to be the entire Indomitus set from 40K. I think we're going to split it up into the Space Marine half and the Necron half, but I do have I'm doing the Chaplain model.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so that's Herrick. It's Herrick. Herrick Hobbies and Games and Hobbies.
Yep. So I'm painting up the Chaplain model, and
check them out.
he needs like another 48 stages of highlights. I'm sorry, Herrick. I got distracted by the Hedonites that you sold me. He'll be done soon. But yeah, artists like Dan Osborne and Caleb, a bunch of people came together on this project, and it's going to be a sight to see. Pictures, obviously, we're going to have a ton of pictures and all the info on that on all the websites and different platforms, but keep your eye out for that.
Fantastic. Okay. With that, Justin, after the dumpster fire that was 2020, I think it's time for another 6-pack of beer.
6-pack? A camel pack is more like it.
Lords and Heroes is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have any questions about its use, you can go to lordsandheroes.com. Artwork is by valleydweller.com, and the music is courtesy of Jake Tejada. Sound effects are via freesound.com.